It's maybe a bit actually high. Hi, everybody. I'm actually thinking that this looks really. I'll pull this up a bit because my laptop's higher today, so it's making it look weird with my clothes. But anyway, how are you all? I hope you're good. I'm actually trying to see if I can find a better way every week for the lighting and for the angle, etc. But we're giving it our best shot. So I'll give it a wee second or two. I've put the reminder as per usual into the pinned comments for anyone that is joining along. This isn't therapy, it's not coaching, it's not a workshop, it's just me, my book, Uncertainty is Your Superpower. And you can find details of that on Amazon, and there is a link to it in the description. Equally, if you go to my website, www.deborahcraig.com, you'll see information on my book, services, and everything that you might need. So it might be quiet tonight because I know there's a few people that can't actually make it. They've got other things going on. So I will give it one more minute and then I'm going to start. And if anyone does join, I'm going to stick your name in the chat just so that I know somebody's there. So I'm not talking to myself. And if you're interested in knowing, yes, the weather's great in Italy and they're starting to get the tan going on, which is fabulous. The weather has been 20 degrees for the last couple of days and I'm maxing out on that because, you know, for us from Scotland, we could, blink and you could miss the sun in Scotland. So I'm making the most of it while I'm here. Hi, Denise. So good to have you on. So this chapter tonight, it's actually quite a long chapter. So I made a decision to split it into two because actually there's like two stories in one, because it's aptly named Chapter 9, The Messy Middle, Fear, Faith and Finding My Way. So that I felt I could see where there was a lot going on in a specific time frame, and I just thought it was maybe worthwhile just splitting it so that we didn't have to rush through it. And if there's any questions or anybody wants to ask anything or share any of their own story, then so much to the good. So I am going to try and get into a better position, maybe better like that actually. And I think we'll just crack on. So Chapter 9, The Messy Middle, Fear, Faith and Finding My Way. What's going on with my hair today? Who knows? Been at the beach all day, so it's the best I can do. So promoted to my permanent post for the first time since I'd left the bank. I was super excited to be paid consistently for the work that fully aligned with my studies and passions, until something started to creep up on me. That word, permanent. And previously represented security, but now it took on a new meaning. The contact centre was full of strict rules. I'm talking about the NHS 24 here. And rightly so, but they started to feel like a tight grip was around my body. I was struggling to breathe. All I could think about was how I'd worked so hard to clean up my life, start my degree, leave corporate, and take all of these significant risks, only to be told that I needed to enter a code into my computer to log that I was going on a bathroom break. A literal time-stamped code to pee. Of course, I understood the necessity for rules, but internally I rejected everything about them. Those feelings brought me to a realisation. This was not forever. This job could never be forever. The role itself was actually incredible, deeply meaningful and essential in our society. I was proud to be part of the organisation and to be helping people in my own small way. I experienced real mental health cases, raw human emotion, anxiety, grief, trauma, and despair. Yes, as I've said before, it was a baptism of fire, but also a gift. The experience gave me depth and understanding, and I couldn't have gained that any other way, or at least not as fast. Sadly though, no matter how much I was learning, the environment and overall experience confirmed what I had been too scared to admit previously. I had to build something of my own, a business that represented me and how I wanted to support people. One that incorporated multiple therapeutic models, coaching, and holistic therapies. So I waited a few more months until I'd finished my degree, took time out to decompress, and then I began the search for the next piece of the puzzle: hypnotherapy training. Something I'd known I would incorporate in my business since I first experienced hypnosis years previously. That's when I found Claire. Her training model for hypnotherapy felt like it had been created just for me. I signed up immediately, terrified but determined. I'd finished uni with a first class honours, left corporate world, had cleaned up my entire life, and here I was again, a beginner, full of self doubt and terrified I'd fail. What a path I'd travelled these 4 years, non stop learning, reflecting, growing, trying, failing, getting back up, and taking consistent action towards the life I wanted. Yet here I was again, the newbie. New levels, new devils, as I always say. So there I was, a graduate in the making, a soon to be qualified hypnotherapist, and feeling ready for my next big move. Probably the most significant leap of my life at this point. I remembered sitting in the contact centre at NHS 24, wearing my scrubs, staring into space while mulling over my life and the next steps. Yes, my degree was complete, but I was unsure what was next. Another one of those soul deep moments of knowing came over me. I knew I had to bet on myself again. I'd come too far to stop now. I reflected on my journey and my own personal healing and growth, and how I was a million miles away from the girl who partied her problems away. I began pondering questions like, what would it take to start a business? Where would I operate my business from? What services would I offer? Would I make enough money? Meanwhile, I celebrated all of my success. From September to December 2019, it was the best time of my life. My graduation day, the robes and the mortarboard, surrounded by the best people. I'll never forget walking on that stage to collect my scroll. It was the most incredible feeling, hearing my family cheering for me as I strutted out with my head held high. I knew I'd done something significant, not only the degree or the fact that I got a first, but the fact that I did it all: the degree, the career change, the new life I was building. I knew on my graduation day that my life was changing forever. I used that day, that moment on the stage, as my positive anchor on the days I don't know if I can keep going, and there's many. It works like a charm every time. Next up were all of the trips and fun times to celebrate. The Drovers Inn at Loch Lomond, it had been on my bucket list for years. Then Vegas with my sisters for shows, shopping, and of course, champagne. And then there was the Gucci watch, which I'd been eyeing up for months. I'd made a promise to myself: if I get a first, I'm buying that watch as my reward, a nice incentive to try my hardest. My final celebration was a trip to Italy. I went to Pisa and Florence and Lucca. It was my first time in Italy after daydreaming. First time in Italy after dreaming of going for many years. Something about waiting for Mr. Right and the romantic vibes of Italy stopped me booking prior. Well, there was no way I was going to hang around waiting for Mr. Right to make my dream happen. So I went with family and had a fabulous time celebrating my success. By October, I was knee-deep in hypnotherapy training, and everything felt right. I knew my next phase was about to be born. It wasn't a sudden rush to leave NHS 24, but I had a calling, a whisper in my ear that was getting louder by the day. I'd learned to trust myself and my inner voice more than ever before. And up until this point, I had never been wrong. So I started planning the budget. How much do I need to live on? Where can I make cutbacks, cancel subscriptions and Sky Movies for a start? What are the significant expenses, and can I take any steps to reduce more of them? My car. I only needed it for work, so if I left, it would become a nice to have. Where would I operate my business from? Could I use my house? What if I get rid of the old bedroom furniture? Could I fit a reclining chair and a Reiki bed for clients? Is the decor acceptable to avoid incurring expense? What services would I offer? Hypnotherapy, Reiki, psychology and mindset work? That's the thing about making a list. Considering all the practicalities, it starts to feel real. And oh boy, was it feeling more possible than ever before. I pushed on and decided to turn my spare room into a therapy room. I'd always wanted to create a comfortable experience for my clients, especially since I hadn't received that kind of experience when I visited a hypnotherapist many years before. I'd made all the necessary inquiries and arrangements to let my car go. So there it was, everything set up for me to leave if I dared to do it. And I did. And that's where I'm going to break that chapter and we can share. I'll have Joe share a little bit from what come up there. There's a couple of things I would just like to highlight, but particularly if anyone has any insight, any thoughts, any reflections that they want to share, you need to be subscribed to be able to comment, so feel free to do that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull out a couple of things that I thought were relevant. And it's not maybe what you think I might talk about, but when I was reading this over again, it made me think about one of the things that I really did right was take a whole summer into an autumn to celebrate, to actually celebrate what I'd been through. Not just so much the accomplishments, but the fact that I could do it and keep going all the way. So, I was working full time in the bank while I was doing my open uni degree for the first 2 years. Then I'd left and I was still working and volunteering when I was doing the second 2 years. So the demand, I was also at college for a year, by the way. I don't talk about that as much in the book, but I did a year at college on top of my degree and working and volunteering. Don't know how I still survived it, and that's the truth of it. I think I was probably, you could probably ask my family this, I was probably a living nightmare at that point, but I was making a big change, so it was always going to be hard. But I guess my question to you is, what do you do? Like, do you take the time to reflect back and then not just reflect on it, but how often or how good are you at saying, this was a challenging period, or this is something that I've accomplished that I really worked my ass off for, and now I'm going to celebrate and actually set the time aside. So for me, the things that I did, I used that year for the Drovers Inn because I'm into walking, and I went with my walking friend and we had the best time, and there was the bagpiper and all that there, and it was just fantastic. And then the Vegas trip was a short trip because I'd been in Vegas many, many times. So this one was like 4 days, and it was champagne, shopping, seeing a show, and just the opulence and the sun of being in Vegas was just fantastic. So I did that. I bought the watch for myself, and I also made sure that the dream that I had to be in Italy, I made sure that happened as well. So I took the time to actually reflect on what I'd accomplished through all of these celebrations. And I'm asking you guys, whether you're watching this on catch up, you can leave it in YouTube shorts comments, or anybody that's on live tonight. When was the last time you said, right, I'm going to take this day, this week, this something, or I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to get myself a takeaway because I've worked hard and I've earned this experience, because I want to celebrate myself, like, intentionally. So I'm waiting for an answer here from those that are on. So tell me, are you good at it? Are you not so good? Is there something that in recent months that's happened, you think, "Do you know, I would, this is something to celebrate." Maybe you're in the middle of something right now and the celebration's still to come, but there will be plenty of other things that's going on that still uh, deserve that level of intentional celebrating. Now, you don't need to go to Vegas and Drovers Inn and all these things. Maybe your version of celebrating is a detox from your phone and having no communication with anyone and enjoying a box set and getting a takeout or a glass of wine or something. We all can celebrate in different magnitudes because it depends on the season you're in your life, I suppose, as well, if you've got the time and the finances. But if you're short in time, you're short in finance or any of these things, that doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means that you're looking for something that's still intentional, but that aligns with celebrating the success that you've had. So that was the first thing. So I'm waiting for you guys to tell me a little bit of an input about your own celebrations and successes. There we go. I knew somebody would talk. Okay, I did have a friend come over to stay and go out for dinner. I knew I was super busy moving into my new club premises and it was just too good to stop. There you go. And I think that's a perfect example. It's like, well, yes, I am busy and I'm probably too busy in reality to be going out and about. But I guess the question I would ask you is how your body felt afterwards, because there's a combination of things that can go in there. So, for example, you could be out with a friend and be still tied in knots because you're focused elsewhere and actually you don't feel better for the catch up. Or you can accept that you gave all of yourself to the present moment and you actually were able to exit your mind from your worries and your stressors. And because of that, your body then settles down and it calibrates again. Your nervous system resets and it's like, okay, I can keep going another couple of days now, knowing that I'm not going to fall off the edge of a cliff with the challenges that I know are ahead for me. Was good not to talk about business for you. And I think that's so important. Doesn't matter whether you're in corporate or you have a business or you've got a challenge that's in your life that's really difficult. It actually does help to experience a whole different energy. So if you're having a really down day, then sometimes, yes, it's fine to talk about something, but then to shift that energy, it's going to need something else. It's going to need you to go and do something different, whether it's go out with a friend, talk about something different. For me, one of my biggest energy boosters, even when I was in the depths of panicking and worrying and stress, was always to go and see my nieces because I could become the child again. My inner child was taken care of and I could be young and I would do whatever games they wanted to do. And I felt like I could exhale, that feeling. And, I actually did a post on social media. I think it went out, I think it was today, for anyone that's not seen it. And basically, the sentiment of it is a bit like that celebrating. So I put a picture up of this little, I can't remember the name of it, it's an Italian, this bread with the tomatoes and the oil and the oregano on it, my bottle of water, and just looking out at the sea. And my post basically was saying, I've earned this. And what I was saying during the rest of the post was, I've earned it because I've taken risks that are on another level. I've said yes to things when I've been terrified. I've set boundaries and had to say no to things that made me feel like I was sacrificing something. I've been frazzled. I've been excited. I've been worried. I've done things that I didn't even know were in my timeline of my life. And when I sat there at that moment, I felt my whole body exhale. And it was the deepest feeling that I'd had because on this trip, I've met people and I've met friends, new people. So it was like a full circle moment. And I thought, in fact, because I came here for the first time to Monopoly in April last year, so 2025, and it was challenging, but I stayed a month and I felt amazing. Came back again in October, November, And that was hard. It was hard because it was going out of season. It was hard because I ran a retreat and it was my first one. It was hard because I wrote and published this book and took across those months. And I didn't know how I was feeling. In January this year, I went to Portugal for a month, and when I was there, I hadn't booked Italy when I first went to Portugal. And there was a part of me that was just like, I just don't know if it's what I want. Even although I knew I loved it when I was here, I just didn't know if I felt that I was settled. But I knew I had an apartment. I knew it was at a really good price. I knew some people, albeit just my Airbnb host. And I thought, you know what, let's go and do another 2 months. Honestly, this trip for me has been life changing. Parts of me have woke up that I thought were dead inside. You know, you don't know that they're dead until you're awake again and you think, oh, I forgot I have feelings like that in me. And I met this great girl. She is planning to move here permanently as well, but luckily for her, she's from Ireland, the part that's part of the EU. So she has no issues coming and going, but we hit it off and she introduced me to people. I've made more connections and I don't feel alone here at all. And I know that there's just people buzzing around and it's been so amazing. And that's why I'm saying, like, I celebrated that because that wasn't luck that brought me here. That was the first time taking the chance, then renting my house out and selling all my furniture, then coming back and it not feeling good, not as good that has it had been. And I started to doubt it and I was like, nah, I'm going to give it one more go and see what happens. Third time, look how I feel now. It's been unbelievable. So you have to celebrate, like I was doing that day and I was saying it publicly. I've earned this. You have to celebrate those moments where you know you've gone above and beyond and done things that you didn't know you were capable of. So, how about for anybody in the chat here, you want to give me at least one thing that you've done in recent months, weeks, whatever, even in the last year, that not only surprised you, that it became part of your timeline, or that maybe made you proud, something that you did and you thought, God, can't actually believe that's happened, even though it's maybe something that I dreamed of, or for me, I never dreamed of any of this. And yet here it is in front of me. So I'd love to get a little bit of insight from anyone, either in the comments and YouTube, if you're watching it on catch up, but anyone that's live, I'd love for you to do that, because I will cheer you on tonight and also find out from you what you're going to do to celebrate yourself as well. So while you're mulling that over, let me pull out another element of this. I'd like to briefly talk about, just while you're maybe clicking away or not, I'd like to briefly talk about, for the last sort of 10 minutes, the feeling of permanency. So when I went to NHS 24, I was on bank staff. So I chose my own hours. I just worked all the crazy shifts. It was low grade, grade 2, served its purpose, meant I could do uni work sometimes even on a night shift. So there was no big deal. There was no issue. And I decided that I would go for this post that was coming out as a new department, right? Hadn't ever been created before. I was one of the first 3, because the 3 of us got taken on. I was one of those 3 in the mental health sector on the phones for the NHS 24 in Scotland. And it was a proud moment and I loved it. Just baptism of fire, but I loved it. But here's the thing, I felt it physically in my body. The minute that I decided to take a permanent post, instantly I just felt that tightening. I was like, oh, I've been away from that for, how long would that have been then? 18, no, it was 15 months I'd been out of that environment. and then to be in it again, even though I was on the same floor. I was actually on the same floor at NHS 24, but there was something about the permanency, knowing that I had a schedule to follow, knowing that I couldn't just decide at the last minute, oh, I've got too much uni work to do, I need to not take a shift. It wasn't like that. And as soon as I felt it, I felt stuck and I felt the tightness around my body. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, even although it's the right job, because actually it put me from a grade 2 to a grade 5, so financially it was great. I was only working 3 days as well. So, but that feeling of knowing I have to do something more here because I just can't be tied to another company where they call the shots, your holidays, appraisals, pee breaks, for God's sake, timesheets. It was just an instant visceral response that I had, and I went, this isn't going to be forever. It's for right now, and it's the best thing could have happened to me because it was so challenging that it's expedited my knowledge and confidence 100 times what I would have learned anywhere else. So no regrets, but I did know. And I wonder, do you think you're good? Anybody watching this, how good are you at recognizing your physical feeling towards something? And how good are you at acting it out? How good are you at saying to yourself, okay, like I did, this is not for me forever, but it's for right now while I hatch my next plan. That's the bit that you want to think about. It's like you don't have to act instantly. Sometimes it's good to act instantly, but you don't have to act instantly. It can sometimes be an acknowledgement, oh, I know this isn't going to work, or this is not for me. I'm going to work towards a plan out of this, rather than feeling that you're just sitting in it, stagnant and stuck, because the body knows the score. It's telling you the answers. It's loud and clear. If you can't hear it in here, because our mind will tell us it's not possible, you will feel it in here. And it's your duty to honour yourself, to listen to that and make decisions based on what it is that you're really wanting. Anyway, there's another food for thought for you. Right, Joe, I said this year was the year for my own premises. Couldn't believe it happened in January to kick the year off. Finally, your dream will come true, even though it's not going to be easy. Yes, and I love that there you put in. So well done on the premises for anybody tuning into this. Jo has taken on a new premises, well, not a new premises, her own premises for the very first time. She's always rented space elsewhere. This one is being created and designed from the inside out, all for her craft club for kids. Huge challenge, huge risk, but lifelong dream. And I guess I'd love to just get a final sort of thought on this, Joe. Like, when the opportunity for the unit came up, I would love to tell us, like, that. Did you get that visceral feeling, like right in your gut? Did you know? Was it like, oh, this is my moment? Or did you still feel so hesitant or whatever? Because I think there was something that you felt in your body, but it'd be good for you to just share it. And then, yeah, that was your success there, travelling for the awards and being in the finals. Scary, but you still did it. Being recognised, yeah, I knew it was time. Where did you feel it in your body? And that was an incredible experience. I was very lucky to be her plus one. How nice is that? To the award ceremony. And I have to say, it's not until you're at these things that you really realise what's involved. There was like 100 people there that were in the top 100. And when I saw the caliber of people that were in that top 100, I was mind blown. And I was so proud of Jo to see that she'd been in that top 100 and she'd been invited to those awards. So what a way to celebrate your own growth and success. And no wonder you knew it was time for your unit, because these things, It's a bit like that alignment thing. I mean, I actually just myself there just booked a trip a couple of days away. While I'm here, I'm going to go to Venice for a couple of days. But again, I've looked at different trips. I've been plotting and planning and trying and doing all this. And then one day I just sat down and went, oh, I think it's now. Check the flights. Oh, I think that works. Oh, these flight times are incredible. Oh, that all really works. Oh, there's an apartment done. Just like that. And that's when you know when something flows with such ease, you just know that you're onto something because, like you with the unit, you just knew it was time and that feeling coming in your body. And it's like, yep, I'm going to do this. So trust your gut. You already know. And if you can't hear it yet, where are you feeling it? I felt it when I came here and I exhaled at the beach and I knew something big was changing again in my life in this trip and I felt it. I knew that it was the feeling in my body when I was here last year. I was so certain that this was the moment I was going to rent my house out. So it's like sometimes we will talk ourselves out of things, but when it's in our gut and we know, then that's the time to act. So I'm going to leave everything there for tonight. For anyone watching on replay, feel free to drop a message in the comments in YouTube. If anyone is curious and wants to know more about my book, you can find it on Amazon. There's a link in the description. There's also a link in my website to some free audios. If you want to go on and it's a release, reset and rise, if you need some support. It's just short audios, they're all there, you can download them. And yeah, if you like what you hear and you want to follow along, then please subscribe and I'll keep you in the loop. You can press for a notification as well, and that will let you know when the next Sofa Chats is. But we're here 7 o'clock UK time every Tuesday. It's now 8 o'clock for me because I'm in Italy, but hey, that's no problem for me because I love it. So I'll see you all again on the next one. Thanks for joining. Bye.